My name's Brad Plym. Thanks for taking the time to watch this demo. I have written a log file viewer called LogWatcher. You're looking at it right now, and it has a timeline view and also a character stream view that shows you what's happening on 5 different messages.logs distributed in different VMs, a cluster of VMs running Liberty Server. Also, this is also a bitmap view of the highlighted messages.log, and this bitmap view is clickable, just like the other. Everything else is clickable, and when you do click on an event, it queues it up and shows you an HTML version of the log file, and then also scrolls it to the position where that event or that exception was found. You can also click on, do the same thing here in the character stream. And I'll show you how that works in the timeline view as well, showing the timeline. I'll click on one of these red exceptions, opens up a new tab, and then scrolls to the socket timeout exception that little plot corresponds to. So obviously, it's not showing all of the content of the messages.log file in this summary, this chronological view, timeline view. It's something that where what happens is things will show up as you do a query. So here's this query window here, and it has a high-level query language, and so each line will represent a separate command. Plot exception in red. So all of these red squares are showing up because the user was doing a search for the keyword exception across all 5 of those log files. And so not all of these are the same exceptions. So if we just say socket timeout exception and did Control Enter, then you'll see that where that specific exception happened here. But we want to still be looking at all of the exceptions. So plot exception in black. Get those back. So let's find out what these other exceptions are. What this control allows you to do is to go drag the screen to the left or to the right to go back in time or forward in time, and you can zoom in, and you can zoom back out to get things all in the screen. As you zoom in, what you can see happening is what look like 1 or 2 events is a cluster of many events. And so we'll zoom in even more until they split apart. And let's just see what kind of exception that was. We'll click on that. It opens a tab. And lo and behold, a view expired exception. Chances are that's what all of those in this cluster are doing. But let's just make sure. Let's just check. This gives us a chance to view expired exception. And let's say blue. Let me try that. I'm gonna take that out of there just so we know. Won't have any black, so we'll just see the specific exceptions right now. And there they are. So, well, we even have exceptions, different kinds of exceptions in this little cluster. But you see how fast I can kind of determine what's going on. I wonder if this, what this first one is. I'm pretty curious about that. But I'm just going to say a couple more things about the technology stack that this is designed or this is using. So on the front end, of course, I'm using JavaScript to generate the timeline, the character stream view, most of it, and the query window, and this status window, which right now is not in the correct position. I'll have to debug that. Also, the JavaScript will place these little squares, these rectangles, based on what the backend has sent in the JSON format. So what happens is when you first visit the page, the LogWatcher CGI file is called by an Apache server, and that is a Python script, which in turn feeds some of the request information to the backend Java jar, which is luminator.jar. And that jar is what formulates some of the bitmaps in this view here and the character stream view. And then it also uh, puts together the JSON information so that they can be plotted on the screen. And that is basically what I wanted to show you. Thanks again for taking the time to listen, and I hope you've enjoyed this presentation.